Hi, my name is Theodore Cottingham in Eureka Springs, Arkansas at the moment. And my question for you this day is, will you soften your heart toward God? Now, before you resist whatever you think I just said, would you consider that God may be you? Maybe you're the son, the daughter of God. Maybe there is a consciousness that exists within all of us that links us together in ways unseen, unheard of, unrecorded? Or do we speak with that softened heart that lets God speak with us, in us, in our ears, in our registration chambers, in the Holy of Holies, the temple not made with hands? Are you allowing God to speak with you, or are you allowing your ability to register that God is speaking with you, or that God will speak with you, whatever your name for God? Because whatever you call God will not defeat the operation of God. For God looks in the heart. Is that the message of today? Will you wear God's heart? Will you be it? Will you have the light that's you flowing in your veins? The light that people see, the light that people hear. The energy of light, or transcendent of light as we know it. Light that doesn't need photons, light that doesn't need polarity. What about opening your heart to God that doesn't need duality, that really doesn't even need an adversary? Was the adversary created by man? Was the idea, the concept, the construct of an adversary put forth so something could be demonized, so something else could be resurrected that you would worship? What if you preceded worship? What if you preceded duality? What if you really existed as the immortal? Or do you still? I ask you to listen to you in the still of the night, in the still of your mind. For years, I set my alarm at 2 a.m. to get up, to listen, to write, to be with God, to speak. Sometimes I would drag out, stumbling my way into the room that had a little couch I called my library, at times my office. Sometimes I would sit there and it was all I could do to even try to stay awake. And other times I was very awake. But regardless, I set my alarm. I took time for years to do that. And it was not by a formula. It was by the heart. The heart that I ask you to soften in you this day toward the things of God, no matter what you have thought of it, no matter what you have been taught about it, no matter what you feel like it is, how remote it is, or how close, even if you think it's closer than your breath. Maybe. I ask you to consider the message that Christ is you, that Christ may be you, that you can become it. What is a Christ? Well, how do you define it? Well, if you accept a very acceptable definition of it that's been put forth by certain authorities for many centuries, you may allocate that descriptive term only to another. But what if Jesus was the pattern for all people? What really and truly was the message of Christ? The kingdom is at hand? At hand? What if you're it? What if the message has been truncated? Or what if you have the ability to hear God directly? Don't you want to know it? Wouldn't you like to know what He says? Maybe He will tell you He's a she. Maybe God is genderless. Maybe God is feminine. Does it matter? Why would it be divisive? Whatever God is, and whatever your name for God, I ask you to soften your heart toward God this day and take time to listen. That's the bottom line. Take time to listen. Take time to hear God for yourself, to experience God, not vicariously, not through the works of another person, not through a book, not through previous experiences. But today, recognize that you have the ability to hear. Extrasensory perception. What if within you is the heart of God? Are you willing to bear it, create it, let it grow? Will you listen to the words that are the seeds that God will give you, so that you begin to woo a relationship of tenderness, not one that's brittle, that's been formed through a book or what people have told you. Find out for yourself. Be curious. Ask. Take God your questions. Take a tablet and a pen and write. God has told me multiple times, ask people to write me, and I will begin writing to them, through their own pen. Things you never knew. Did God not say, I will teach you, so that you have no need of man to teach you? Look it up. What is the intention of God to create? Creators? Will you create the Creator no more in your image apart from you? Will you soften your definitional stance? Will you soften your heart toward each other? Will you soften your heart toward you? Will you allow you to think it not strange that God would come and sup with you, have supper with you, have communion with you? Think it not strange that you're valuable, that you're worthy. Think about a bigger picture, a cosmic picture. I ask you to give you in fullness and tenderness, and know and create an energy that is susceptible to a new beginning and create it. Be not confined to this world. Be not confined to the definitions. Walk your own path. Gosh. Can you imagine a school that would help you do this? Can you imagine something online that you could actually begin to learn some of the things that I've been taught, that God has taught me in my 2 a.m. meetings with God? Can you imagine God teaching you about electrons, protons, neutrons, quarks, organelles? Can you imagine an education system, an internal one, where God would teach you directly all things, things about creation, things about the future, the past, the quantum world? I suggest it's unlimited, for I suggest you are. You are what? The unlimited, the immortal, the offspring of God, the powerful, most high Lord God. None of those terms will defeat the operation of God, not for a tender heart, not for a heart that will woo God, that will not be brittle in the definitions you hold to design it and say, God is this, that, and the other. Allow God to come in tender ways and teach you in tenderness with a still small voice. Maybe not something you hear audibly, but that you learn to hear clearly in the receptivity of your mind. The secret place. So I ask you this day, be tender with you. Forgive you of everything done and not. Forgive everyone else. And walk the path that allows you to be the real you. And that's my request this day. My name is Theodore Cottingham, TheodoreCottingham.com. I love you and bless you. Share these words freely. Consider them. Consider getting up at 2 a.m. See what happens. Spend an hour a day with whatever you call God, where you don't dictate the terms. You don't dictate the diction and grammar. You don't dictate whatever God reveals to you. I love you and honor you this day. Theodore Cottingham in Eureka Springs.